as I mentor girls, I've got a list of 8 character qualities that I ask them to look for. And if you don't have those 8, it's a deal breaker. And I'm sure you want to know what those 8 are. So, I'm not going to tell you, but if you want to know, they're right here, and I can send it to you in a PDF. So what you have to do is email me, mb.haas@teenmania.org, and I will email those back to you. The first one you're going to guess. What would the first one be?
Humility.
Nope. Yeah, it's Christian, but you know, a lot of guys are going to tell a girl, I'm Christian, but you got to love Jesus more than you love her. You have got to be able to lead her spiritually, so if you're not more spiritually mature than she is, you better get it.
Next question, what do you think submission looks like as far as a woman submitting to the man? What does that look like to you?
This question always cracks me up. The last panel I sat on, they talked about being submissive, and I'm just like, what is it with these guys making sure these women are submissive? It kind of cracks me up. It is important that we learn as women to be submissive, but let me help you understand something. It's not like you, as the guy and the girl, get together and, whoa, you've just attained it. She's submissive and you're an awesome leader. Okay? Just as you have to be patient with us as we are learning to submit, we have to be patient with you as you're learning to lead. Okay? So it goes both ways. So you can't just come up on the scene and think, well, she's not being submissive. You probably need to check your leadership style and see if there's something that you need to adjust to help her as she's learning to submit and follow your leadership. That's my 2 cents on that.
I think something just to add to that is, just like Mindy said, as you're working on being a good leader, if you as a husband are a good leader, then your wife is going to want to submit to you. She's going to be able to trust you, and it's not going to be like this battle, like, I'm in charge, you have to listen to me, and whatever, but just knowing that as you're doing that she's not going to, if she's following the Lord, she's not going to have a problem submitting to you and letting you lead her, because that's what she wants.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. I have a very strong-willed wife, but she is very submissive to my authority, but she makes sure that my authority is correct. If it's not correct, she's going to battle me on it, which is good, correct according to the Word of God. You know? And so that's, she's very submissive, but from the outside, people may think that she's not. But she is a very, very good woman. Kind of like Mary Beth here. I mean, in a good way. Okay. Next question. Okay, I am not the greatest looking man. In fact, I know I am average looking. Do I have any hope of courting a girl that I think is attractive? There's more to it. People say I am a really nice guy. Please give advice and hope to all nice guys.
Well, I have 5 little brothers, and the oldest little brother is 23. And he's an attractive young man, for sure, but he is convinced that he couldn't get any girl, and he likes this one girl, and I was like, Joe, if you are sweet and kind, you have a really good chance. And so you have a really good chance. It's just true. I mean, you look at people that are married for a long time. Maybe so. Yeah, you have a really good chance. You'll probably get a good girl, for sure.
I think something else with that is just knowing that, like, if hopefully you're all seeking a godly woman, and godly women, yeah, I mean, they want you to look presentable, they don't want you to look raggedy and unkempt, but at the same time, she's going to be looking for those character qualities inside of you, so that character is more important than what you look like on the outside. Just like for you guys, as you're looking for a wife, hopefully you're not looking for like this gorgeous supermodel type person who's great on the outside but doesn't have any depth on the inside or any character qualities on the inside. So just knowing that your character is more important than how you look, but at the same time, do the best with what you got, and just make sure that you are looking good. I mean, That doesn't mean you have to go and like get a nose job or something, but at the same time, just with what the Lord has given you, making sure that you're taking good care of it.
Yeah, I totally agree with her. And I just looked over this whole group. I just looked at all your faces, and I don't see a homely guy in here.
There you go.
There is not one. But what she said is right. Take care of your outside. Be well groomed. Be in shape. Somebody, you know, we're going to get to that question later about why do fat girls want to get married.
Since you mentioned that, we're going to go right to that question.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Why do fat guys like to get married? And, you know, what does the Bible say? God looks at the heart. What's man look at? The outside, and so do girls.
Okay, well, let's get the full gist of the question.
All right.
Okay. Why do overweight women want to get married? Why don't they think that they must first get themselves together? What does a woman think she must be to be attractive? Okay. You want to handle that?
Yeah, sure. I think Mary Beth answered it. I mean, there's overweight guys and they want to get married too. So, do I believe that we should do our best to be fit and take care of ourselves? Not, because we're the temple of God, right? And that's what He asks us to do, to take care of ourselves and be healthy. And so I do believe that. However, I also know that I've always heard there's someone for everyone. And I truly believe that. So if there's a girl overweight and you're not attracted to that girl, you don't have to say anything about it. You don't have to, leave it alone. But listen, there's going to be someone that sees her for who she is and is going to love her. And that's awesome. So I don't think we're here to judge, right? And just kind of go back to the nice guy question that you guys were asking about. I know sometimes you guys think, why does it seem like girls are attracted to the jerk, the mean guy? It doesn't seem like the nice guy wins. And I'll tell you, the nice guy does win in the end. He does win in the end. Girls oftentimes, especially at your age, some of them are just a little still insecure, trying to find who they are. And so they don't really have it all together yet to understand the qualities, that's why Mary Beth has to mentor them and help them, that they are looking for. And so it seems like they're attracted to the jerk, but in the end, that is not who they're marrying. And I remember Clay and I had this conversation, and he said it's about the marathon, not the sprint. Okay, so for you nice guys, it's about the marathon, okay? You win in the end, so don't worry about it.
Okay, the next question is for the married ladies here. In your marriage relationship, did you and your partner ever have arguments because you had to learn, and through those arguments, have you learned to respect each other, and how were they resolved?
I think being newly married, I probably had more arguments than Mary Beth recently, because Jacob and I are in the process of working through those. But I will say that we don't argue as much as we do, or we did when we first got married, because we have grown in that. And definitely learning how to respect each other is a huge key if you don't want to keep arguing and arguing. And I think of it just like your roommates. I don't know about you guys, but I had very strong-willed people in my room when I was an intern. And at the beginning of the year, we argued all the time. Like, your stuff is in my area, and you didn't pick up your stuff, and what's this? But just learning to respect each other and learning to help each other. So just like any other relationship, a marriage is going to be very similar with that. But I think something that I've learned is, as a woman, just thinking about that my husband does deeply value respect. And I had to learn from him, what does disrespect look like? Because my idea of disrespect and his idea was very different. So I would say things, and I wasn't trying to disrespect him at all, and then later on he would come and say, hey, you really disrespected me, and I'm really hurt right now. And I was like, oh no, I wasn't even trying, I didn't even realize I just disrespected you. I am so sorry. And then there's other times where he might do something to me, and I go to him and say, hey, you know when you did that, that really hurt my feelings. I feel really disrespected. And he said, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize it. And so just learning that and learning more and more about your spouse is going to help you. That way I know, okay, note to self, don't do this ever again. And I can just kind of keep that in mind. And he knows also kind of what disrespects me, and so now he knows, okay, don't do that because that makes her mad. Does that make sense? Okay.
Well, in the whole respect, if you have not read that book, Love and Respect, that's, men, need to be respected, women need to be loved, and in that comes a lot of arguments. But I think it's going to, you know, some of the arguments are going to come back to the submission thing. Who's got the final say? Who does? You better have the final say as the man. Somebody's going to have to, either the woman or the man. She can present her case, but you are going to be responsible for the final word.
I think too, just real quick, I know I'm not married, but I've been around for a while, 35. Wow. Yeah, seriously. I think when you look at conflict, if you go into it knowing that both parties need to walk away feeling like they won, it's about a win-win, not a win-lose. And so I think that in itself can create the respect. It's how does she feel like she can win coming out of this, and how do you feel as a man that you can come out and win? I think when you go into it, she is wrong, I am right, she's going to understand that. The conflict's probably going to continue for a while. So I think if you can just go into it and understand how can both parties walk away with the win-win, I think that really just shows love and respect.
Great. Good answers, very good answers. How should men interact with women who's been treated as worthless by most of the men in their life? And I'm assuming this is someone who is interested in a lady. How do you help them with that? How do you help them overcome that?
I think you need to realize that first and foremost you aren't her savior, and she needs to be receiving help and healing from the Lord and from mentors, so you're not going to necessarily be the one to do that. But you know, my best friend is in a serious relationship, and she's been talking a lot about how she's been being healed by the relationship that she's been in him now that they've been in a committed relationship for a while. And I think that it just comes down to just loving her really well, wanting to get to know her for the right reasons, respecting her purity above all else. Like, he guards her purity above every other thing, whether that's her heart, her mind, her body, and that has become, that's the most important thing to him in his relationship with her. And it has made her feel so valued and so cared about, and be able to trust him so well that it's brought healing to the area of her aspect of men in general. And so I would say that I think that before you're in a committed relationship, that's something you can do for all women on campus, is guarding their purity above all else in that way. And then once you're in a committed relationship, being able to serve her even more so is going to bring that, but ultimately hoping that she's finding healing not from you as a savior, but from the Lord and mentors and other areas as well.
Okay, good. In a relationship, do you feel that a man's vision is more important than a woman's vision? And then how do you come to resolve on that if you're interested in dating that person or married to that person?
Yes.
I get a lot of questions about this from girls. I don't have the Teen Mania answer. My answer is, we as women are created to be the helpmeet to the man.
That's right.
And she better be ready to run with your vision, and you do not run with her vision. And that is my own personal opinion, coming out of the research from what does it mean to be a helpmeet.
I'm going to give it up for Mary Beth. I love Mary Beth. And I 100% agree with Mary Beth. I think there's a difference between a purpose and a call. I think the woman's purpose is for the man. She might have a calling on her life. I'm called to teach. I'm called to disciple. But my purpose as a woman will be for my husband. And I will be helping him with his vision. Does that make sense? So,
Yes.
I think, that's so great. And I think another thing is, if I have a calling that I know the Lord has told me to do, like he has given me something specific, then I need to make sure that that's something that I'm fulfilling now before I get married, because once I'm married, my marriage and my family will become first priority. Not that I can't still accomplish those things if if it happens, awesome. If we have the same vision and dream and we can do those things together, great. But ultimately, once I'm married, he and my family become my first priority. So if there's something specific like living in Africa that I feel like God is like, you are going to go do this, I need to make sure that I'm pursuing that before I get married. Does that make sense?
Good, good. How can you tell if a woman is not ready for a relationship?
Well, if she doesn't have healthy relationships with women, she doesn't have deep relationships with women, maybe she's really cool with you, but does she have deep accountability? Does she have a healthy relationship with her parents or older people too? I think relationships, the people's relationships say a lot about their wholeness. Is she insecure? Is she always trying to get her affirmation from you? Is she looking to you to tell her that she's beautiful, to affirm that she's a godly woman? Is she dependent? Is she seeking you out all the time? Is she needy? Clinging on to you, following you around? It feels good to have someone following you around and wanting your attention, but after a while, that's going to be a drag and a pull, and you can't carry that weight. You can't carry that burden. She needs to get healing from God.
Very good.
Yeah, I'm not sure what your question means. Does that mean how do you know if she's ready for a relationship with me? Is that what you're asking? Or just a relationship in general? And if it's, if you're wondering, is she ready for a relationship with me? Well, if she's not attracted to you, and if she's not, and you can tell that, then forget it. I can't top that.
All right. Please explain what exhausting your singleness looks like for a woman. Do you believe this is biblical or even a good practice? Why?
No, I mean, again, the woman is created for the man. And so, even though I've been single for a long time, it's not that that's the desire of my heart to be single. I do desire to be married. I do think it's okay for a woman to enjoy her single life, because when we do get married, we are married for the rest of our lives. So I do think it's okay, that she is single, especially when she's 18, 19, 20. It's okay for her to enjoy some of that for a while, enjoy creating healthy girl friendships and all that stuff. But I don't think there's a formula to your single life or exhausting your single life. Or I just think when you guys are in a relationship and you are governed by peace and it's time to get married, that it's time to get married. It's not, oh wait, have you exhausted your singleness and then we can get married? It's not a formula.
When we encourage the girls in Risen class to maximize their singleness. And what we're explaining to them is kind of what Corey talked about. When you feel like God's called you to certain things, like to go to Africa or to serve people in India or whatever, go do it. Don't wait for someone to marry you that's called to Africa and then go to Africa, but go and do what God's calling you to do and believe that God is going to bring that man into your life. Don't pine away in your house looking out the window. Is he it? Is he it? Go live for God. Do what he's called you to do.
I think the other part of that just comes from having contentment in every single stage of your life. Like, I know a lot of people, when you're a teenager, you're like, oh, I can't wait till I'm 16, then I can drive. And you think that's the next best thing. And it's like, oh, I can't wait till I graduate. And then, oh, I can't wait till I graduate from college. And it just seems like, especially in America, we're always looking to the next thing. Like, well, now, if I could only have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, if I could only be married, then I'll be happy. And just getting out of that mindset to where you're making the most of every single stage of your life. So if you're single and the Lord has called you to do things while you're single, then go do it. If you're married and the Lord has called you to go to Africa when you're married, then go to Africa while you're married. But just making sure that you're making the most of every single stage and you're not just waiting for the next thing to happen.
Okay, good. Very good. Okay. I believe this question was touched on before a little bit, but what is the worst or most hazardous quality the man could have that is a big turnoff?
Well, it's probably going to go in with the Christianity thing, but I think selfishness. Just being self-centered, having yourself on the throne of your heart instead of Jesus.
Yeah, and if, just to throw out another one too, just lying. I mean, a girl needs to know that you're trustworthy. And even if you just lie in the smallest thing, how are we going to know you're not going to lie in a big thing? And so I think lying, when I'm in a relationship with a guy and he lies to me, it's a big red flag turn off to me.
I think the other thing that goes along with selfishness is pride and arrogance, which in a marriage relationship, something that I've learned over the last few years is just like they say in a wedding, the two become one. You're a team. So just like if you win the argument but she loses, really you both lose because she is you. You are her. And so if you're prideful, if you're selfish, I think that is probably the biggest thing that is tearing up marriages because you're not putting the other person first. But if you can get rid of that, and if she's putting your needs first and you're putting her needs first, that's exactly what it should look like.
That's a great answer. Another question for the married ladies. What are some things about your husband that give you joy? Ladies, no answers concerning the bedroom, okay?
My husband is very witty, and he's very funny, and he has very, very quick retorts and quick replies, and I just love his humor.
Okay.
That's a good question. Something that I think originally attracted me to my husband was just the fact that he was super chill and he's kind of goofy. He wasn't like this amazing super cool person, but because I'm not like that, I'm really goofy and clumsy, and so just the fact that we can have fun together. This weekend we decided, I don't know if this was a good idea or not, but we decided to pull up all the bushes in our front yard. So if you drive by our house, it looks like a construction zone. But the fact that we were digging holes and bushes up, it wasn't a fun job, but we had so much fun together because he's jumping on the bush trying to get it down, and I'm taking pictures and laughing at him because I was kind of praying that he was going to fall because I thought it would be really funny, but he didn't. Not that he would have gotten hurt. It was just 3 feet, but just the fact that we could do that and have quality time, I realized this weekend that is something I love about our relationship, that we are best friends. And even something like digging out bushes was quality time, and it was really fun.
I want to point out something that they both said. Mary Beth talked about the sense of humor. She talked about how much fun they have. And I really do feel like that is key, that you enjoy each other. But sometimes that I think that I've noticed since I've been around, you guys have to enjoy the dating time. You guys get way too serious way too fast. It's like, hey, we just graduated, we're alumni, so now we're dating, what's next? Are we going down the road of marriage? And you start going this whole entire direction that you don't need to go yet. Just go out on dates and have fun. Go play putt-putt, go go-karting. Go do something fun and just be fun for a while. Don't try to get so serious so fast, because if you notice at the end of the day, their marriage is them being best friends and having fun together. It's not about it being so serious all the time. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Here we go. This is for single ladies. I understand that all ladies are different, but I would like some ideas on some things that I can work on. What are things that you are personally looking for in a man?
Okay. Well, for sure, sense of humor. I mean, that to me, if a guy can make me laugh, it's, someone was like, what about the average looking guy or whatever? If you are fun and you have a fun personality and you love the Lord with all your heart, mind, and soul, and that is evident, you're going to win. Okay, bottom line, you're going to win. And so I just think that it also, what is it, the qualities?
What you like about
Yeah,
what you're looking for, man.
a decision maker. I want to know, like when Mary Beth is talking about that he has the final authority, I want to know that he can make that final decision, that he can be confident in that. Again, it's just so, I know that I can trust his leadership. Let me see, what else you got on that list? Go ahead, Mary Beth.
Well, nobody ever hits any of the things that are on the list, really. Yeah. But one of the things on the list that I'll tell you is, does he have harmony with authority? What does his relationship with his dad look like? And what does his relationship with his boss look like?
Something that I look at is how he treats women, just like all women. Is he like a ladies' man? Or, yeah, is he a player? Is he a ladies' man? Whoa, turn off. Is he disciplined? Is he a man of his word? Does he follow through? Or does he show up like 10 minutes late? Is he sincere and kind? I like a guy who's sincere and kind and gentle.
Okay. All right. Consistently, can we men make women happy?
Probably not. No. I think the question is, can anyone really make anyone else happy all the time? Probably. I mean, I don't even make myself happy all the time. But no, I would say as a man, your job isn't to make your wife happy all the time. Your job is to help her get closer to the Lord, and the Lord is really the one who's going to do that. And really, I think the other part is it joy or happiness that we're talking about? Because no one's ever going to be happy all the time. And I know as men, you guys want to protect your wives. You guys want to see them happy. I know my husband gets so upset when he sees me not happy. But something I've had to tell him is, hey, there's days where you did nothing, and I might just have a bad day at work, and I come home and I'm not happy, and it has nothing to do with you at all. So those are just some things that to keep in mind.
Okay, good. On a more difficult side here, why do women divorce men? I have grown up and seen a lot of women divorce men where the men did not want that to happen. Okay, what are some reasons why you would leave your man?
We just had a long discussion on this, or a short discussion on this at our home group last night. Most of them are not biblical women because the Bible says God hates divorce. And so the thing that you want to do when you get married is that you discuss with your fiancé that we make this commitment that this is till death do we part. And we don't say the D word. And we don't consider the D word. And we are going to work through any problem that we have. And I know that's generalized, and I know there's exceptions in there of things, but you want to make sure that you and your fiancé are committed to marriage.
Very good. And that doesn't give you reason to just go ahead and do things for grounds for divorce because you're like, well, she can't divorce me because that's what the Bible says. But I agree with Mary Beth. Some of the marriage and couples that I've been around and in the church that I come from, we would always say you can never say the D word. And I loved how my pastor always said it, you enter a room with no exits. And that's what it's about right from the get-go.
Yeah. We're gonna allow for parting thoughts coming from these women on their words of wisdom that they would like to offer out to you. So, Mindy, would you like to start?
Yes. I'll just say this because I was an intern, and then I stayed here for 2 years after that. And I think one thing that you gotta know is you're gonna get a lot of different relationship advice and things that people say and opinions. And I think you've gotta understand it's the principle that you need to take, not necessarily take the advice and make it a formula. Okay, because everybody has a different story, everybody has a different way of, how their relationship came about. Okay, and so just make sure when you leave here, you're not taking things that you've been taught and making it a formula, but you're understanding that it's a principle. And to take the principle and apply it to your life in the way that it works for your life. But more than anything, you've got to make sure that you are right before God. You know, I've told girls who have been with guys and they're trying to figure things out and they're listening to everybody's opinion. And I'm like, you know, it's easy for people to make opinions because they're looking on the outside and that's their perception of it. And I said, but you're, at the end of the day, will be the one that stands before God and take an account for the decisions that you made and were you obedient to God. And so that should be your priority across the board, is that when you stand before God, can you make an account for the decisions that you made, how you treated the woman that you were with, and were you obedient? And so, do we need wise counsel in our life? Absolutely, but don't make it a formula.
Good job, that's great. Well, I have another paper for you. It's called Looking at Marriage, and probably most of the girls sitting on this panel, many of them have already gotten this from me, and a couple of you guys have. And when my kids were in high school, we called this the dating course, and we said when you get both sides of this paper filled out, then you can go out with Dad and have a conversation with him, and we'll see if you're ready for dating. Well, one of the things on here are the 8 qualities. But another thing that I suggest to a lot of women, and I suggest to you guys, what's your own list of 8 qualities? Before you ever look at these 8, what would you say are 8 qualities that you yourself think you have to have? And then when you go home, you ask your dad, hey Dad, what 8 qualities do you think I need to have a successful marriage? And then you ask your mom separately, hey, what do you think are the 8 qualities? And then you go out to dinner with the 2 of them after you each have your lists, and then get your list down to 8, and then look at these 8. And see, how does this all line up? And biblically, how does it all line up? And what does God want you to be? So anyway, this sheet, this other little 2-page thing is called Looking at Marriage.
Sorry. I think I would just add on to that and just say, sometimes we get so caught up into thinking, okay, what are the qualities I want my spouse to have, that we forget about what are the qualities we want to have. So something that my mom had my sister and I do when we were little is we made a list of the qualities we wanted in a spouse. It was really funny because when Jacob and I were getting ready to start dating, I actually found the paper from when I was like 12. It was pretty funny. Some of them were really good, like I want him to be a Christian. Some of them were silly, like I wanted him to be taller than me, or be able to play the guitar, or like some of them were just, okay, I don't know about that, but she had us do that, and then she also had us do the qualities that we thought that we should have as a godly wife. And as you guys are thinking through, like, okay, what is the wife that I want to have? What are the qualities I want her to have? Make sure that you're the type of man that she's going to want to marry. So think through, okay, what are the qualities I need to have? And then the other thing, the next step that my mom taught us was figuring out, okay, what are the non-negotiables and what are the negotiables? Like playing the guitar, for me, that was a negotiable one. Jacob has a guitar, but he doesn't really play it, so he's kind of on the line. I was like, well, okay, God. But the things like having a relationship with the Lord, being decisive, being a leader, those were the non-negotiables. So that way, because women, we kind of know when a guy's getting ready to start pursuing us for the most part, if we've been friends with him for a while. So as I kind of knew that he liked me, and he's not really good at keeping secrets, so as much as he tried, but I went through the list and I was like, okay, Lord, like we're going to pray through this, and it's going to be make it or break it time, okay, right now. And just praying through that kind of gave me the green light of, okay, yeah, I'll allow him to pursue me and move on. But if he hadn't had some of those non-negotiables, then I would have been very polite, but just say, hey, you know what, like, no. And maybe it's not a no for forever. Maybe it's just a no for a time. But the answer has to be no. And the same thing for you guys, as you're thinking about pursuing a woman, is if she doesn't have some of those non-negotiables, then don't pursue her. Because there's no guarantee that she's going to grow in those while you're pursuing her. You might be more of a hindrance than a help to her.
I guess as a kind of like an older sister, what I've seen happen with my brothers is just what's made them great men rather than good men is them pursuing mentors and relationships with men that actually have like flourishing marriages and that are men and they have relationships that they want to have. And so the great men are the ones that have those really awesome mentor relationships. So I encourage you, get around the men at your church that have marriages that you would want to have and learn from them and follow them and talk to them. Some of my best friends, when they got married, the best guys, in my opinion, were the ones who had mentors in their lives.
I think I would just echo what Mindy said, in that it's not a formula. Like, I was first pursued as a core advisor, and then I left the Honor Academy and came back, and I've watched people start relationships in the Honor Academy that didn't work out, and they can feel like such a failure, like, oh my gosh, I followed all the right steps, what happened? Well, maybe it just didn't work out. And so I just think that that's such a good perspective. Just because you've been through Trailer Club and have so many great principles doesn't mean that it's like, oh, awesome, perfect, I got it all together. Like, try, risk. I think that's so great what she said. It's risking. You learn a lot from that. I've learned a lot from that. So I would just say, make sure you're not, looking at it like it's going to be a guarantee, but obviously following the guidance of the Holy Spirit, which is more important than steps.
Okay, great, great.
One thing I desire